Hello and welcome to Studio RC, an encouragement for both your recovery and your faith. My name is Max. I am an alcoholic and I am also a follower of Jesus. So this week we're starting on a new adventure, and each week we're going to take a look at a different recovery church value. And we're going to do so, I'm going to try something I haven't tried. I'm going to put a little timer in the corner and I'm going to give myself 12 minutes to see what I can do on each value. I'll only have the 12 minutes and we'll go through each of the different values. What I wanted to do is just set it up, and this will be the same setup each week, and then we'll transition into whatever value of the week. But it's important to remember, you know, who are we and what do we do here at Recovery Church? Recovery Church Movement is a network of recovery churches reaching and training those in early recovery to grow in their faith and their recovery. Recovery Church Movement is a bridge between the 12-step fellowships and the church. We train, coach, and help people learn to become disciple makers within the recovery community and to start, plant, and reproduce recovery churches. That's who Recovery Church is. That's what we do. Now, our vision, our Recovery Church vision is this: a recovery church in every city in this nation and beyond. And we have taken a look, I think there's something like 15,000 cities in our nation, and so we're looking at that and looking at ways that we can continue to expand and continue to have recovery churches in each and every one of those locations, in addition to your online resources such as Studio RC or our RC online campus, our High Five at 420. So we have all these different stories, different ways that we can help those, both the physical locations as well as giving digital resources as well. And so our mission, we've did our vision and our mission. Our mission is equipping God's people to do God's work of recovery. So we have who we are and what we do, we have our vision, and we have our mission. And that will set us up each week to go into exploring a different value. And we'll review this each week, and then we'll go into the value of the week. And so over the next several weeks, we're going to look at various values. And again, I'm going to take 12 minutes on a clock and see how far and how much we can get covered. I may have to speed talk, but that's okay. So hopefully you're ready, and this will be something that'll be informative also of who, again, Recovery Church is, and who the very essence of us and our values and the things that we do value. So let's get started on this week's value. All right, let's jump into this week's value. This week's value, we're going to look at service. So we're going to take 12 minutes on the clock, and let's take a look at the RC value of service. And away we go. We joyfully serve and carry the message of faith and recovery, because faith without works is dead. We joyfully serve and carry the message of faith and recovery, because faith without works is dead. We've taken part of the book of James, faith without works is dead, and incorporated that right into our value of service. Now, part of the reason we have done that is because in the early days of AA, before there was a big book, they only had the good book, and they would read often the section of the Sermon on the Mount. They would read 1 Corinthians 13, the love chapter, and they would read the book of James. And they almost were even named the James Gang. And that concept of faith without works is dead. It finds itself in the 12th step as well, carrying this message to other alcoholics and practicing these principles in all our affairs. And so faith without works is dead. In other words, we can have faith, but without that action, without that service, it's dead. And we don't serve in order to earn or keep our salvation. It's really a response. Service is a response to the love we've received, to the salvation that we've had, to the spiritual awakening that we have experienced. And so we want to make sure that people experience what we've experienced. And so we freely give away what we have been given. And so we joyfully do it. We serve. And part of serving is carrying the message of how we obtained a different life, how we obtained sobriety and clean time. We carry the message of faith, how Jesus and God and our higher power changed our lives, and how recovery has changed our lives as well. And then it says, because faith without works is dead. So service is showing our faith. It's an extension of our faith. And it tells us in the big book, it said selfishness and self-centeredness, that we think is the root of our troubles. Driven by hundred forms of fear and self-delusion, self-seeking, and self-pity, we step on the toes of our fellows and they retaliate. And it tells us on page 89 of the big book as well, practical experience shows that nothing will so much ensure immunity from drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics. It works when other activities fail. And you have Mark 10:45, and I love this. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. So Jesus' very example was one of service, not one to be served. And so if we're going to take our cues, taking our cues from Jesus is probably a pretty good place to take our cues. Now, I did a quick word search in the big book and step book, and the word service shows up over 80 times. 80 times. Now, sometimes they're in regards to service boards or service committee or general service. So not all of them specifically reference service. But here are some that do. In the 12 and 12, it talks about a spirit of service. And in the 12 and 12, it also means, but the beginning of its unique and valuable service. In other words, how we serve others. The more in spirit of love, we exert ourselves the more in a spirit of love and service. Love and service often go hand in hand. It says in the 12 and 12 again, animated only by the spirit of service, a true fellowship. That a fellowship grows while we're serving. When we serve alongside of one another, whether it's making coffee, putting out the chairs, whatever it is, having a role in our group or having a role in our recovery church, their fellowship really, we get these bonds with others. It tells us we daily see such members rendered prodigies of service. In other words, that maybe you're in a place in your life where you're able to serve more than someone who's not. Maybe someone else has a very full life, whether it's work or with family, and those things make it hard to serve, be prodigies of service, but maybe you're in a position to be a prodigy of service. In other words, you're able to really serve and take quite a role. But maybe you're in a chapter of your life where you're not able to serve, but there will be a time where you can. In regards to being a prodigy. In other words, able to maybe take a bigger position, a position with more responsibility. And so we continue to look at those. The book goes on and it talks about we are guided in the spirit of service. I love that it talks about the spirit of service. There's a spirit of service, that there's service by its nature is spiritual. 12-step work is never paid for, but those who labor in service for us are worthy of their hire. In other words, the efforts we put forth are, they're worthy of being paid, but we don't pay for that. It tells us in the 12 and 12, and I love this, and this is again in regards to the 12th step, service
gladly rendered, obligations squarely met, troubles well accepted or solved with God's help. The well understood fact that in God's sight all human beings are important. The proof that love freely given surely brings a full return. The certainty that we are no longer isolated and alone in self-constructed prisons. One of the things it said that when we serve, it makes us immune from a drink. And now it says when we serve, we're no longer lonely. So service serves so many purposes. It's not just in response, but it helps us to not drink or use. It helps us to not feel lonely because we have this bond of true fellowship. So again, service has all these great things. A couple more great quotes from the book, and then I'll focus on some scriptures as well. But when by devoted service to family, friends, business, or community, we attract widespread affection and are sometimes singled out for posts of greater responsibility and trust. And we try to be humbly grateful and exert ourselves the more in a spirit of love and service. Again, there's that spirit of service, both spirit of love and service. And it's interesting how love and service continue to be together. But the longer you stay clean, the longer you stay sober, the more responsibility you're going to often be entrusted with, because you show up on time, you're consistent, your word is one that can be trusted, and so people give you greater responsibility because you've demonstrated that you are living a different life. We try to be humbly grateful that when people are like, oh, would you like to take on this role or take on this? Maybe it's within your group, maybe it's at work. But we have opportunities, and these opportunities grow. That's why when somebody's been sober for a little while, their plate is often very full. And then it tells us this on Into Action from the Big Book. Our real purpose is to fit ourselves to be of maximum service to God and the people about us. That's the purpose. Our real purpose is to fit ourselves to be of maximum service to God and to others. That's the point. That's what we are doing, and why we do what we do. One of the things I heard Pastor Junior once say is, you can serve and not love, but you can't love and not serve, because serving is a byproduct of love. And therefore, that overflow of love will be service. And I think that's what an incredible thought. And when we're serving, it actually, as we had heard, it makes us immune to drinking or picking up drugs. It helps us to stay sober. That's one of the reasons it's so encouraged by so many groups. Get into service. Whether, again, or in the beginning, maybe it's making coffee or something. We were created, you and I were created to serve God. And God gave each one of us gifts so that we can actually serve Him in different and unique ways. So we serve in order to help keep sober, but there's something else. It actually brings fulfillment to our lives. It helps bring about this fullness in our lives that couldn't be there any other way. It tells us in Matthew 20:26, but among you, it will be different. Whoever wants to be a leader among you must be your servant. It's this whole concept of servant leadership. It tells us in 1 Peter, God has given each of you a gift from His great variety of spiritual gifts. Use them well to serve one another. Do you have the gift of speaking? Then speak as though God Himself were speaking through you. Do you have the gift of helping others? Do it with all the strength and energy that God supplies. Then everything you do will bring glory to God through Jesus Christ. All glory and power to Him forever and ever. Amen. When we serve, one of the points of how or why we serve is so that we point to Jesus and say, look what He's done in our lives. And look what a difference God has made in our lives. The reason I'm in a position to serve is because God has done something in me and through me that I can't take credit for. And so I serve. I serve other people. I serve in, whether it's in church, whether it's in your AA meeting, or NA meeting or CA meeting or whatever 12-step meeting you may go to, or at Recovery Church, or all three. Try not to spread yourself too thin, but that we did talk about being prodigies of service. There is joy in serving. There's joy in serving. And for some reason, when we serve others, we feel better. I don't, if you go to a soup kitchen and you serve others, somehow when we leave, we feel good. And that's not why we do it, but that's one of those things that is a byproduct of service. We joyfully serve and carry the message of faith and recovery, because faith without works is dead. I encourage you, as time runs out on us, for you to serve and serve others joyfully, with a joyful heart, with a smile on your face. Serve others. Give God the credit. And I promise you, your life will be fuller. It's one of the reasons that it's a Recovery Church value, because service makes a difference in our lives as well as others. Let us respond to the love and the forgiveness and the redemption and all of the incredible things that have come to us because of our recovery and our faith. May God bless you, and remember, continue to like our posts, share our posts, subscribe to our posts, so that we can get the word out and that we can let others know about what Recovery Church is all about. And what Recovery Church is all about? 12 steps with one goal. God bless, and we'll see you next time.